Theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Rong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Good afternoon, Suzy Rong.
Hello, Warren. Do you think it's weird that I, a fully grown, fiercely independent woman, does not hold a driving license?
Do I think it's weird? I know weird is the wrong term. I don't think it's weird. No. Is it unusual?
Do you know a lot of people? Do you know a lot of people who don't have a driving license?
No, not really. In fact, most people that I know do have a driving license. But you just got me, Suzy. Can I ask you a question about that? Because you don't have a driving license. How have people that you've dated reacted to that? You know why I ask? Because I have to admit, in the past, I think, that means if anything happens, I'm going to be stuck to being driving all my life.
That's definitely what they think. They think that it's all on them all the time.
What? Did anyone say anything to you? Say, Suzy, I can't because I hate driving.
Oh, they definitely do push me to try to learn. Mm-hmm. But looking back, I just feel like it's never been a very attractive idea for me. I think you need to maybe love the idea of owning a car, which I don't have any kind of emotional attachments to any cars, no matter how beautiful they are. And I think maybe when young people and teenagers, they think about driving as like a form of freedom. And I think as a teenager, I never felt like I didn't have freedom. I had a lot of freedom, probably too much freedom. And, so it never became a priority. And then you grow up a little bit. And then I remember there was a period of like 10 years where I felt like, I was going out a lot, but I was drunk all the time. So I'm thinking, when do I get to drive? Because I'm drinking every time I leave the house. And then all of a sudden, you're too old.
Do you know what? My concern with you driving wouldn't be, you'd be responsible, obviously, and wouldn't drink and drive. But I think my concern would be you'd be driving, trying to concentrate on the road, and then you'd turn and you'd say, hello, boo-boo, what do you think we should do?
I'm sure I would have more than one or two Labubus hanging on my dashboard or something.
You wouldn't be able to see out the mirror. You wouldn't be able to see out the rear windscreen because of your Labubus all over the dash. That would be funny.
Oh, no, now you're giving me an idea, because I've run out of space for my Labubu, right? So I'm thinking maybe if I have a car,
that would shove them in the boot.
A few more surfaces, yeah.
For those, if you weren't listening last week, Suzy Rong was in the studio with me, and there were two Labubus that came down for the trip as well, and we found out that Suzy talks to her Labubus. Which I think is absolutely fascinating. But in terms of driver's license, I'm all about sharing the driving. So most people I know, I think, have got driver's license.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, Suzy, today we're talking about drive-away dolls. Is that why you asked me about having a driver's license?
Because I'm looking at them having a road trip, and I think that is one thing I have missed out on.
Okay.
That I haven't been able to go on a long driving trip with a friend, just sitting in the car, just chatting away. I've never experienced that before, really. So that's the only thing that made me think that, I probably need a driving license.
But couldn't you go with a friend who drives on a road trip? Or do most of your friends not drive?
You know what? Now they do, but for the longest time, we all didn't have the licenses. But over time, they have gotten their licenses. Maybe it could be something that we do in a few years as we approach retirement age.
Suzy, would you ever consider the idea of getting one of those motorhomes and travelling around the country in your retirement age, and staying at caravan parks?
I don't think I like nature enough. I love city life. I just love being in a city, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So maybe not.
Okay, I like your answer. Thank you, Suzy. Let's talk about drive-away dolls. What did you think about it?
Jamie and Marion are good friends, maybe a little more than good friends when they decide to embark on a road trip together. Life was beginning to be a little bit depressing in Philadelphia, so they go away hoping for some fun, but the adventure they encounter proves to be a lot more than what they had bargained for. In the movie Drive Away Dolls, streaming on Paramount Plus and available to rent everywhere, we see a pair of lesbians getting into hot water as they find themselves inadvertently tangled up in crime and intrigue. They run into bumbling lawbreakers, a horned-up lesbian football team, a shifty politician, and a whole host of colorful American small-town characters. Drive Away Dolls features some very big stars appearing in small roles, including Pedro Pascal, Coleman Domingo, Miley Cyrus, and Matt Dillon. It is co-directed by Academy Award winner Ethan Coen and bears his characteristic, quirky, absurd humor, which I find to work very well indeed in this little queer comedy. The movie is highly amusing, a very funny diversion involving a button-up, uptight office lady and her Texan friend who struts around like a randy cowboy caught in a small woman's body. Their chemistry isn't always convincing, but there are plenty other elements to keep us entertained. The jokes are plentiful and can be very silly, but it never feels insulting to anybody's intelligence. Drive Away Dolls is just a light-hearted, uplifting, rollicking good time with bright and fun women leading the charge in a lesbian movie that for once isn't so much about feelings and sentimentality. Queer women can be great fun, but we don't often get to see them on screen that way, so this is a genuine delight. Drive Away Dolls is the first installment of what the producers promised to be a trilogy of films that pay homage to genre tropes while centering lesbian characters. It comes highly recommended from me. Warren, I hope you had a few laughs with this one.
I did have a few laughs. I was reading that apparently it was called Drive Away Dykes originally. That was the title. How do you feel, Suzy, about reclaiming words that were once used against queer people?
Well, the word queer itself, I feel like has successfully been reclaimed. Like this year, last year, I think most people have become very comfortable with the word queer,
Took a while,
which,
though.
has become it has taken a long time. It really has taken a long time because we were trying to reclaim it in the 90s. So it has taken a very long time. But I think it is as a very useful term because LGBTQIA plus just became, a little bit challenging. And also I think gay people, lesbian people, trans people are just becoming less than just what those words mean. When we say someone is lesbian, when we say someone is gay, it's starting to sound very restrictive. So I think queer is, so I think queer is much more sort of inclusive and it kind of allows more space for possibilities. So it's great. The word dyke, though, I think is still contentious. I think it's still used in a very negative way, by some people. So I would understand why they decided to go away with Drive Away Dolls instead of Drive Away Dykes, which obviously is a much more fun title.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think of queer, and I had an auntie that used to say that I was a little bit queer, and she said it in a really nasty way, to be honest with you. And I've struggled to embrace it at first. I really didn't like it at all. But now I'm like, it feels so much better. I feel like the word gay, for me, there's, I don't know. I mean, if we look at our own backyard, there's a lot of negative stuff associated with that as well. As much as I'm proud of it, I feel like queer is like a fresh start.
Yeah, gay has accumulated a lot of baggage through the decades, I think. And I think in this current moment, we can see how maybe in the last couple of decades that gay culture has been not inclusive enough and has had kind of negative effects on many gay men's lives. Kind of the whole gay culture that became so prominent in the 90s and the 2000s maybe. And a lot of gay culture centered around hookup culture and club culture, and a lot of that was very, very white supremacist, I think. And I think gay, while involves all that, it's not all bad, but it does kind of bring up some negative imagery.
We're chatting with Suzy Wrong about Drive Away Dolls, a queer road trip story. Now, Suzy, Jamie drags her friend along on a mission to get laid. I want to ask you, have you ever been on a sexual adventure like that, a holiday, where that was your mission?
Not a holiday, but for many, many years, as you know, in my maybe late 20s, early 30s, and I think that's what people do. Hopefully people are still doing that. I think it was a great time when you would go out clubbing, back when clubs were the center of queer life, and you would just kind of egg each other on and get your friends to be a bit more bold. Especially when, my group come from an Asian background. So we are a lot more kind of, shy and, hesitant about kind of, introducing ourselves to people and being more social. So there was a lot of pushing each other, and that was a really, really great time. And I think it really kind of, defined that time of my life and kind of really solidified friendships that have become lifelong friendships.
Do you miss that, where that was the prime place where you'd meet people, places like clubs?
I don't think I miss it, on a personal level, but I really do feel worried if young queer people don't have that kind of life. I worry that too much of it is online. I think digital things are great. I love my phone. I love my digital life, but it shouldn't be a replacement for, the real life encounters. I feel like I learned so much from that, all the good stuff. A lot of it was very painful experiences. A lot of it were very negative things, but, I feel like I learned so much from them. And I've been able to look back and think, yeah, I didn't handle those situations very well, but that was because I wasn't wise enough. And now if I were to be, I still encounter unpleasant situations, but I can handle them much better, thanks to those experiences when I was younger. And when you're younger, you bounce back quicker, don't you?
You do. But I also feel, though, Suzy, you can also say, I feel like we're lucky because we've seen both sides. We've seen the digital side, and we've seen when there was only an in-person side at a club or a bar or something like that. And the thing that I really love about having that experience is we know how to say no. We know how to converse with people and reject people in a nice way, not in a nasty way. And I feel like my concern is that we're losing that ability, and we just become a swipe to the left or the right, and we don't consider what the implications are on the person who is on the other end of that swipe.
That's interesting. I think more about the receiving the rejection. I think, I don't know if the young people find it hard to receive rejection. What was it that recently, I wonder if it was a discussion we had online where where the young people who are starting at work, they bring their parents in for chats with their bosses. Have you heard of that?
No. What? So you bring your parents in, I would bring my mum in if I got into trouble and I thought it was unjust. I'd say, you need to come and stick up for me. At school, primary school.
What's that thing when people get, when they're at work and they're kind of, assessments, they're being assessed for their
So for their work performance?
For how they
and they bring their parents?
Yeah, for work performance.
Like a parent-teacher interview?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a urban legend or if it's real, but I have heard from a friend that they have heard that it actually does happen, that these young people, some young people apparently have brought their parents in for performance reviews. That's what they're called, performance reviews.
I'm going to bring you along, Suzy.
Obviously, that's not something that I would feel is healthy if you're not able to face the professional world on your own. That links to kind of parenting that has become maybe a little bit too kind of sensitive or something.
Suzy, lots to talk about. Today we were talking about Drive Away Dolls. What are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're checking out the second film in this lesbian B-movie trilogy. It's called Honey Don't, which is screening at cinemas in your city. This time, it's a detective story that I hope is going to be as much fun as Drive Away Dolls. So check out Honey Don't at the theaters, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.